Hello there. I just finished my part 1 Musume guide on legacies and supports, and I decided to log on and I decided to do a quick run to record some footage for my part 2 training guide, and I ended up with maybe one of the best Teios in the game right now. An absolutely insane goated Teio. And I happened to record the whole thing, so I'm going to do a quick commentary on it to go over my decisions and how this Teio ended up being pretty sick. So here, I'm just choosing my legacies. I'm following a couple of trainers with 9-star Umas, and I mentioned it in my guide, but you should really try to follow a couple if you really want to build a strong parent Uma for your own future. I actually don't have any 3-star Sparks myself, so I settled with a 2-star Stamina Vodka. It's not an insane parent on my side, but I really wanted to get Long to an A for Teio's career races that she has a lot of. Teio has a lot of long career races that I wanted to make sure her aptitude would be fit for that. Stam in particular is also pretty nice because if you have enough Stam from your legacy parents, you can cut out a Stam card for your support deck. Without any good legacies, if you have long races, you probably need to run 2 stamina cards, but with strong legacy stamina parents, you can get away with just 1 stamina card and picking a bunch of stamina events. So here we go, I got my free to play deck. I've never spent a dime on this game, at least on the global server. And Teio has a 20% bonus to speed and a 10% bonus to stamina, which makes her really strong for legacy farming. Because if you're not aware, you need at least 600 of a stat to even get a chance at rolling a 3-star blue spark. So since speed and stamina sparks are the best and most flexible in the game, we're trying to end runs with at least 600 speed and stamina. You get even higher chances of 3-star blue sparks if the stat is over 1000. So my goal for this run is to end with speed over 1000 and stamina over 600, and if possible, to get wit over 600 as well. I gotta say, my year 1 training was pretty underwhelming. We didn't get any 4 or 5 support training picks, and even our 3 support training picks were really rare. In fact, I think the training luck of this run was way below normal, as you'll see later. But yeah, we're just making the best of what we got. We're picking speed and stamina. Here we got greedy. We got a 4 support training in speed, but with a 30% chance, it's just not worth taking that risk in my opinion. So unfortunately, we have to pass the really strong speed day. But in the end, I'm glad I did. Failing a training this early could have had disastrous consequences for the rest of the run, since there's kind of a snowball effect. If you fail early, you might end up losing early races, which gives you less stats, which makes it harder for every single future race, and it kind of snowballs into a doomed run if just off of 1 single greed in the beginning. Got a pretty decent speed training here, so the year 1 wasn't all bad. And of course, for make debut, we slap her in the front since it's OP. It's also going to be mentioned in my future training guide. Wink wink. But of course, easy first on the make debut. I'd recommend always putting your Uma in as a front runner for the make debut, just because if you don't, there's a chance that they just randomly lose the race because their power is too low. Even if they have a G in front runner, the only thing the strategy rating does is affect your skill proc chance, and in the early game, you don't really have any skills anyway, so it doesn't matter. Might as well reduce the risk that they get blocked out from not having enough power. Yeah, we're always picking energy options here, and for event choices, we're prioritizing ones that give speed and stamina. This is a bit of a hard choice. We have a mediocre wit training, and a somewhat okay power training, and it'll take a lot of energy. By training wit, we get to preserve our energy for a maybe better training on the next turn. Here, we also have 2 mediocre picks, and I ended up opting to go with a rest, just to set us up for potentially a better training spree in the future. Also, it's worth noting that I'm skipping rainbows to train other support cards higher up, since we really want to focus on getting your bonds to rainbow on year 1, even if it means passing up on early rainbow trainings, which aren't as important yet because your facilities aren't leveled. We do a quick scout to see our future timeline, and we're aiming to go for this G1 race at the end of year 1. When you're ahead of the stat curve, G1s are super valuable if you can consistently win them, since they provide a lot. And I actually train Guts here because Tazuna is pretty OP in my opinion by reducing the training costs. Without any other better options, the Guts here with leveling support bonds is actually not bad at all. Since I didn't really train speed that much, this G1 is a little scary, so I'm deciding to spend down a couple of my skill points just to maybe prevent a random loss on this G1, even though I think I'm pretty strong right now with my pretty good legacy parents. And I scrape by with a first, which is huge, and on to the second year. Our support cards are in a pretty decent spot right now, so we can start looking for high value rainbow trainings. We're still in the front strategy because front is OP in the beginning of the career. And basically we're just looking here to snag any G1s in our path while boosting up our speed and stamina. My targets for a generally good run is to have 600 speed starting in year 3 and about 500 stamina. So with those goals in mind, I can plan around to try to end up with a pretty solid stat spread. First inspiration event ends up being pretty underwhelming, but stats are stats, can't complain about that. Satsuki Sho, I'm considering putting her in pace for this race, but with 7 other people running pace, I decided to keep her in front runner just because I don't want to risk her getting boxed out and tanking. It ends up being the right call, but with her power getting to a decent level now, and with enough skills, it's now worth putting her into her preferred strategy position, which is pace. The Japanese Derby. So she takes her first win as a pace chaser here, and for the rest of the run, she'll be in pace chaser. So summer vacation, you always want to plan around summer vacation. Your goal is to start summer with full energy and a great mood, since summer is where you can get a really strong power spike if your rainbow trainings get lucky. I take the -10 energy here because I'm planning to do a rest for summer anyways, and it ends up being pretty good. We've got some decent rainbow picks here in this first summer vacation, can't complain about it. And I make maybe a odd choice of doing a non-rainbow wit training instead of a single rainbow speed training here. That's because I'm hoping for a better speed training on the next turn, which I don't end up getting, but that's okay. We did end up getting a rainbow wit at least, so it was still valuable in the end. And it let us preserve our energy enough to take these speed trainings after summer. With summer vacation over, it's now racing time. There's a string of really important G1 races here, not only for the career mission, but for your fan count. If you're not aware, starting in year 3, there's events that basically require you to have a certain number of fans that the game doesn't really tell you. But essentially, you want to start year 3 with at least 70k fans. So hitting the optional G1 races at the end of the year is really good values, since they give 30k fans each, which bumps up to over 40k with a decent support deck bonus. I get a second on the G1 race here, which it's a little shocking because I thought my Teio was really strong currently, but it's fine. It's just a reality check that I need to start dumping in more stats a bit instead of greeting for support bonding now. Nice double speed training gets our speed level to 4, and with late November, it's Japan Cup time. Medium race with 30k fans that you should almost always try to aim for if your horse has a medium aptitude. Yep, that's 44k fans there. We're way ahead of the fan check for year 3, so that's good. A little bit of speed training at the end gets us to the 500 speed goal that we were aiming for, and I put Teio in the Arima Keenan, the long end of the year race that gives a ton of fans, because Teio deserves fans for being so cool. With 500 speed, we're easily able to meet the stamina check for this long race, and we go into year 3. With our stamina at a decent spot, I decide now is a good time to focus on pumping speed. Get a bushel of carrots, free 5 stat points, and here I make a choice to train wit instead of a rainbow speed because at this point 1 speed is a little underwhelming. I want to save my energy for the double or triple rainbow speed trainings that I could get. So yeah, I'm essentially greeding a bit to save my energy for even higher value days. Tazuna thinks my trainee's guts is lacking, but she's a liar, don't believe her. A pretty decent stamina training gets us to almost 600 stamina, which in my opinion is strong for the start of year 3. I put her in another optional G1. And we go into our second inspiration. I end up rolling the medium aptitude, which bumps her to an S, which is pretty insane. And instead of wit training here, I decide to rest for more speed trainings down the line. I decide to spend down a bit on skills I know I'm going to take in the end anyways, and I run the Tenno Show, which, to my surprise, I get a 3rd in, and apparently 600 stamina isn't enough here, which is a little surprising to me, but that's weird. 600 stamina should usually be enough for that race, but yeah, it's whatever. If you notice the common theme of my kind of decision making, it's always planning for the future. I have a set schedule in my mind based on the G1 races that'll occur, and I try to plan for future potential really strong training days, since the double and triple rainbow days are what's going to really make your Uma stand out in the end. For the second summer vacation, I get what is probably the most pitiful summer vacation ever, with essentially no rainbow trainings. Pretty heartbreaking, but our speed is looking good, our stamina's looking good, and our wit's in a decent spot right now. Our power is a little lacking, but it's not the end of the world. So it's race season once again. I'm going to use the last few training days to pump speed a bit more and to rack up a couple of more G1 wins, since I know Teio is definitely strong enough for these G1s now, with over 900 speed at this point. Pretty insane. Unfortunately, all these G1 races do cut into her speed training time, but her speed's so high that I think she'll make it over 1000 pretty comfortably by the end anyways. The long race, the 3rd place from the long race spooked me here, so I decided to get a early stamina skill just in case, because my Teio is lacking stamina skills currently for this final Arima Keenan race at the end. We get her ult to level 4 and pick up the golden stamina skill just in case 600 stamina isn't enough for some reason, which should be, but can't be too safe, I guess. Picks up an easy first with 5 lengths. And we're into the URA gauntlets. Now I'm aiming for 1100 speed, so prioritizing everything, putting all my priority on speed currently, just for that better chance of a 3-star speed spark. With an 8 length victory, I know the URA is already in the bag, so here's an interesting decision. I know I said I'm prioritizing speed, but if I take a speed now, it means my final training day has no real good options. With low energy, even a wit training could fail there, so instead of going speed then wit, I decide to start with wit and maybe get an even better speed training at the end. And I end up getting a single speed rainbow anyways, so it didn't matter in the end, except it made my fail percentages lower going wit than speed instead of speed than wit. And the URA finale, you always watch the URA finale just to see the fruits of your labor. For some reason, the bozos here didn't put her as the favorite to win, when she's clearly the GOAT, so what are they doing? How are you gonna not bet on a 1100 speed Teio? Overall, the run was okay. The second summer vacation was really underwhelming. If we got some rainbows there, it would have been really sick. Her power is also a little low, and admittedly, her guts is somehow also a little too low. I know guts is generally considered worthless, but it's actually not that bad up to like 400 guts. Anyways, 1100 speed, 600 stamina, 600 wit. An extremely solid Teio build with a bunch of speed skills, and even an S in medium aptitude. Super solid. And with the final turn, she's already catching up to the front runners. And with 1100 speed, it's going to be a cakewalk for her. She doesn't even need to ult, that's how confident she is. Yeah, no one else really stood a chance. Yay, free stats. We love free stats. With all of that, I would consider it a strong Teio, but here in the end, all of a sudden, bam, a 3-star speed. My first 3-star spark on my account, and not only that, a URA finale spark, which is the best white spark you can get. And even her pink spark was good, with a turf spark that can be used on pretty much anyone. Fortunately, didn't get any other white sparks, but URA finale, we take that. In the end, she's a 6 speed, 2 stamina Teio, which is extremely solid and what I would consider one of the best Teios in the game currently, with a pretty solid stat line, an S in medium, and an 8-star inspiration. If you want to use this Teio for your own trainings, this is my trainer code, feel free to follow me. And thanks for watching. It's probably going to be one of the best runs on my account. Not from the overall score, but from how much it's going to impact me by having a 3-star speed spark that I can use for pretty much every other future training. So definitely a monumental run for my account, and I'm hyped to make more Musume content in the future. Stay tuned for my training guide, and I will see you around hopefully. Thanks for watching, and remember to give your Umas tons of head pats.